Hey, hello, how you doing? My name is Tehja, and today is another installment of Corset Belts in Spooky Season. This episode is the Jigsaw Corset belt. Y'all know. If y'all watch the Saw movies, y'all know what time it is. Like, I freaking love all the Saw movies. Of course, the first one is the best one. With, like, most sequels, not all of them, no, but most sequels, the first one is the best one. But, I love all of the movies, and it's, like, one of the first, like, horror movies to, like, really scare me. You know, because, like, slasher movies is one thing, but that, what Jigsaw was doing, that was next level. That was next level. Yeah, that's one of the first horror movies to scare me. So it's a little nostalgic. So I'm very happy to be making this corset belt. So y'all know, grab a drink, grab a snack, grab whatever you want to grab. Get cozy, snuggle with a blanket, you know, and let's get into bedazzling this Jigsaw corset belt. Happy Halloween, y'all. So I decided that I'll explain this part of the process with transferring the jigsaw image onto the corset belt. But then once I start rhinestoning, I'll just play some music and just let y'all chill with the rhinestoning in progress. So that was the corset belt that I made last video, or the first video, and I'll be using the same process as I did last video for the Scream corset belt, which is to print some images, or the image I want, onto the transfer paper, and I'm going to cut that image out. And this time I'm going to also cut the image out to the body or the shape of Jigsaw. So this is what the image looks like once it's cut out. And so I'll be ironing this onto like an old bed sheet in order to transfer the image onto it, because I want to make it more into a patch instead of ironing it straight to the corset belt for two reasons. Reason number one is because the corset belt is not flat enough to transfer the image. It's just going to be all wrinkly and weird. And number two is that it acts like a patch, so it's a little bit easier to do what you want with it. Change the position, change the shape. If you need to peel it off, you can peel it off, or cover it up. It's a little bit easier. So that's why I like doing it on the separate fabric instead of straight onto the corset belt. So after I ironed it on and let it rest for 2 minutes, I'm going to peel the paper off. This is the most nerve-wracking process of the whole thing, because you want to make sure that everything peels off correctly, and that you rather not have to iron anything down again, because that's just real annoying, and you just want everything to turn out okay. So after I peel the paper off, and this is what the transfer looks like once the paper is peeled off, and it turned out pretty good. Everything is black, so I have to be a little bit creative with how I rhinestone everything, but you get the image of Jigsaw, and you get the vibe. So I'm going to cut the image out of the fabric again. Oh, before I do that, I'm gonna apply 2 coats of watered down Mod Podge to seal in the ink and all that stuff. And then after that dries, the 2 layers, they'll have 30-minute intervals of drying. Then I will cut it out and glue it onto the corset belt. So once the image is prepped and it's looking like this, and now it's time to glue it to the corset belt. I did a different glue and a different approach. I used I think Eileen's tacky glue, but it was a better glue. It's a lot thicker and it doesn't wrinkle the fabric or anything like that. Oh, that's what it is. There we go. It doesn't wrinkle the fabric or anything like that, and it glued down a lot better than the glue I used before. So that's what I'm using, and I'm doing the same technique as I did before, is to paint it onto the image. I think just the only thing is that I water down this glue a little bit, so it's just a little bit easier to spread, but that's pretty much it. So I'm gonna cover the whole back of the image with this tacky glue and then place it right onto the corset belt where I want it to go. Okay, so now I'm taking the image and I'm placing it carefully onto my corset belt, and then after that, I'm gonna press it down, and then put some weight on top of it. And then I'm gonna let it dry. I let it dry like overnight, but really just like 30 minutes is enough to at least get the adhesive on and all that stuff. And so I'm taking my weights now and put it on top. So I let it dry for a few hours and then it'll be ready to rhinestone. Now you can rhinestone it while it's drying if you want, like it's not going to do anything to it. But I like to make sure that it's like adhered really well before then. So after we let this image dry onto the corset belt, then we'll start the rhinestoning process. So like I said, I let everything dry overnight and I put a whole bunch of weights on it. As you can see, I got a 10-pound dumbbell plus another heavy box plus a heavy book, and then boom, that's what the image should look like once it's dried completely down. So now it's time for the rhinestoning. Like I said, I'm just gonna let music play and just let y'all watch me rhinestone. I was gonna break down like the movies and stuff like that, but like I watched the movies and there's not really a lot to talk about for me personally. And so I decided just to have like a chill rhinestone with me type of video that can be like relaxing and just nice to watch and look at. It's just a better option. So y'all can watch me rhinestone this image and this whole corset belt, and I'll see you at the end of this video. I also use all the same rhinestoning techniques that I've been using throughout this entire channel. And also all of the rhinestones will be linked down below in the description and then maybe pinned in the comments as well. We'll see. But it's definitely going to be in the description down below if you want any of these or want to purchase any of these rhinestones or any other materials needed. actually like it. It's a little different than what I imagined it to look like. The screen corset belt came out exactly the way I wanted it to look. Or like it's a little bit better, which we always love that. But this one was a little different. It still looks great. I'm still happy with it, but it's definitely different. So that is it for this video. I hope y'all enjoyed it. I know it was pretty long, but you know, it's something to just put on and enjoy and relax if you want to. And you know, just watching somebody rhinestone for me just puts me at ease. So I hope it did for you. And that's pretty much it. Like I said, all the materials will be linked down below. And I will see you soon. I couldn't do all of the corset belts I wanted to do this year, but I will continue to do horror movie based corset belts for the rest of like probably the end of the year or early next year. You'll see. They'll post when they post, okay? But yeah, so I'll do all the other horror icons and then save some for next Halloween. But I know y'all were excited for that. So anyway, as always, lovelies, please love yourself, and I will see you next video. Mwah!